So the concept of energy communities was introduced by the Renewable Energy Directive at European level. And in the implementation of this directive in the different countries, we saw that there was a clear gap regarding heating and cooling. So mainly the transposition of the directive were about electricity, basically. So we really found that there was a barrier, and therefore there was a need for a specific project about that. But on the other hand, that's also the big challenge of this project, because of course the concept of community approach, let's say, in the heating and cooling project is much less diffused than for electricity, and also the concept of heat sharing, for example, is much more complicated to implement. So that's really the main challenge that the project is facing. Okay, the sector of heating and cooling is really important for the energy consumption in Europe. So it accounts for around half of the energy consumption, and most of this consumption is still done by fossil fuels. So of course, the energy communities are not the only solution for decarbonizing the heating and cooling sector, but they could for sure provide a good contribution also to the decarbonization of the sector in Europe. The project is working at two levels. So we have one local level where we are trying to develop 6 cases of heating communities in our pilot areas in different European projects. And that's a very concrete development of the project. And the other level we are working on is, let's say, a wider level, a policy level. So we are developing policy roadmaps for heating communities at local level again. And then we are also developing, for example, a blueprint for developers or heating communities, and also, of course, some policy recommendation, because we think that since there is this gap at European level, it's also important to advise the European institution on what to do for fostering the development of these communities. Yeah, so policies and policymakers, of course, are key for the development of these communities, and I think that this can be dealt with at 3 levels. So, of course, at local level, for example, the municipalities have a key role in involving citizens and in favoring this kind of projects. At national level, I would say, before I was talking about the transposition of the directive, so it should be clear that the national transposition should involve somehow also the heating and cooling sector, and not only be related to electricity. And again, at European level, I think it's also needed that the European institutions clarify that the concept of energy communities is not restricted to electricity only, but it is also related to heating and cooling. When we started the ConnectHeat project, which was back in October 2022, by the way, the project is going to close in September 2025, we were kind of pioneering about these heating communities. What we realize is that the interest in this topic is really growing at both local level, but also at European level. We have some very good meetings in Brussels about that. And we are also trying to stimulate this multiplication, let's say, of initiatives. So we are supporting at the moment not only our case studies, but also 7 more replication initiatives. And another point that could be really important for, let's say, fostering the diffusion of these communities is Article 25 of the revised Energy Efficiency Directive, because these includes the obligation for municipalities with more than 45,000 inhabitants to develop heating and cooling plants. So, of course, these heating and cooling plants could be really the first step to then implement heating and cooling communities at local level.